disaster will strike. So you can read that for yourself. And we are honored this morning to have with us James Wanyugi. He is a financial advisor and he's back to continue with it where he left it. Good morning, James.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well.
Awesome. I'm glad to be here this morning. Yeah, and I thank God for the gift of life and a beautiful weather out there.
Amen. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So last time you were here, we began on this conversation.
Yeah.
And you gave us, towards the end of our conversation, you gave us some of the misconceptions about, 7 streams of income. And what has stuck with me, must I say, is you say that CRT, because you have 7 extra income sources, you're struggling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's a misconception where people think if having a side hustle, this guy must be having a rough time. But actually, on the contrary, we realize that the world millionaires or Kenyan millionaires, most of them, you realize they don't have one stream of income. They have several, and they have streams. And we were talking about sometimes we have these seasonal streams that are coming in once in a while. We have those that bring in income at all time. So it's not that we are struggling actually to have a side hustle. Yes.
All right. I think, James, let's then look at Ecclesiastes 11:2. What does it mean?
Yeah, awesome. And I think that's a good question because it means that we need to diversify our incomes. We need to know that hard times will come. And hard time comes, and I think we're in a season where in the world of politics, we have seen NGOs closing. We know suddenly, I think there was a paper last week that said that 35,000 people were working in one NGO that everyone have lost their jobs. So I think this scripture advises us or helps us to actually look at this in a different perspective, where things can happen no matter how stable your income is. Maybe I say 8 to 5 or maybe 9 to whichever time maybe you clock out from your work. Things can go south. And suddenly, because I was interacting with someone yesterday, and they were saying a friend of theirs was in Kakuma in the refugee camp, and all of a sudden they have 1 month notice. You guys have to go back home. And I was thinking, by this someone who has lived so well, but hard times have come. How do we look into these scriptures in a way where do we look into the diversifying and even having several streams of income? Yes, for me, I think it's a wake-up call for us actually to realize we need to actually look into this seriously. Yes.
All right. And just talking about, the people who've, lost their jobs, and talking about having to diversify the streams of income. Why is it important? Because I know somebody's asking themselves, mbona nijisumbue niteseke? Like somebody said, those who have more than one hustle, they're struggling. Why is it important then?
Yeah, for me, I think it's important because as we look into going into financial freedom, we cannot go into financial freedom with one stream of income. And as the scripture is saying, sometimes we try several things, and along the way there are those that will drop. At some point there are those that will take off, and they become actually your main source of your income. And again, it helps us actually it's really important because it helps us to do something that we enjoy doing. Along the way we pick something I think I click into this. I identify with this side hustle, and I think it has given me purpose and meaning of life. And also coming to a place of making sure that your retirement age is taken care of. I think last time I was giving examples of guys who left their 9 to 5, and actually you don't realize actually they have exited. Because their life is so stable, they have side hustles that are so stable, they are able actually to say, by the way, I'm in a place where retirement is just a name. I'm not retiring. I'm actually continuing with my life and all that. And again, it's also to know that it also gives you a chance to leave a legacy. Because I've known several people who have had a family business for generations. It could not have been so if maybe the first guy didn't actually we talk about outside of their boxes. They came to a place where they actually created a legacy. So, and we can go on and on until we realize, by the way, this is the only way that we can go. And there's someone who asked me, James, it's like every business has been taken off.
Yes.
But I think last time we talked about there are so many problems that are not solved in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So can we look at it in a place where what can I do actually to solve a problem rather than to just create a business?
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe just sitting on that point for a bit longer, James. What do you think, in your perspective, and having dealt with people over time, are some of the risks of, just relying on one source of income? From where you sit, what are some of the risks of just relying on one?
Yeah, so some of the risks are sometimes you may end up sinking maybe the savings that you have done along the way. But again, I usually look at it in this dimension where you will never stand a chance until you try. Because sometimes we can be sitting back and saying, by the way, I don't know what will happen. Can I sink in my funds and all that? But I think for the best part is to actually face the fear and actually look at how can I research on a field that I'm interested in, at a place where I feel that I enjoy doing and all that. And I think last time I talked about me being in the car business and also doing what I do every day. I think it just being in a place where I want to risk in, I want to seek information, I want to identify which are the places that I can close in the holes. There's someone who said that I'm very deliberative. Before I take in something, I look at the risks first and also go into it. And also even seeking those peer-to-peer information before going to risk, because sometimes risk can be so much, and the higher the risk, the more we need actually to sit in and take more time to do our due diligence and all that. So for me, it's just a matter of just taking the risk, no matter how big it is. Just take your time and know that it is possible. And I think we are also in a place where I see the Holy Spirit gives us discernment. Sometimes there is an idea that you know for sure in your mind. You have a conviction. I will take. I'm not just taking a risk. I have an inner witness that this thing is going to take off. And I think that is a place where we go beyond actually relying on James's thoughts, mind, and also coming to a place of actually surrendering and actually trusting God actually to lead me to a place that I want to risk in.
Something comes to my mind.
Yes.
When you are running 7 or 8 ventures of income, streams of income, it seems like you're doing everything. Like your hand is in let's say clothes, your hand is in food, your hand is in... How do you balance so that you're not a master of none, if you know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
You have so many so that someone might wonder, huyu anauzanga kila kitu.
Who are you? If you ask for shamba, they have an idea. I have someone. If you want speakers, whatever, everything. And for me, I think we come to a place of not diversifying too thin. Picking one thing, go deep into it until it stands on its own. And again, once you are stable enough, delegate, have someone, mentor someone. And I usually advise guys not to go to relatives, by default. Get to someone who have an idea of what you're doing. I remember a friend who was diversifying into solar and CCTVs and all that. And he had a lady who had worked in the same field. She was in need and all that. And I think later when we met, he was like, hey, James, I thank God I got that person. They're able to run the business as if actually I don't worry about not being there. So don't diversify two things. Diversify with one thing. Let it go deep into a place where you are mastering it already, where it can run without you, and you get someone skilled, like mentor someone into it, or get someone who is skilled. Ask around. Do you know someone who can do A, B, C, D? And information will always be there. And then once you diversify into one thing, then go into the other thing. And then once you now get hold of the other thing, now go deep into it until it can take off by itself. And then it's bit by bit, not just like I have 1,000 things, but if you ask me more details about a certain business, I have no idea. What I know is that just hit and run. Quick
money.
Yes, quick money and moving forward.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, and then I know there's somebody now waiting to hear maybe what are some of the ways someone could start doing just to have multiple income streams. What are some of these ways?
And that's a good question. I think we start with for me, I like starting with the passive ones, where the passive one would be what do you get from your 9 to 5, And out of that, can you put your money first into a tool that is making you money already? Because at the end of the day, a stream is a place where you put in your money and it's generating more money. So we start with, and we have investment product in the market. And out of that, you realize, by the way, can I now go into active? Coming from passive, where you put your money, you are not doing anything, and that money is bringing you something. We come now to a place of maybe an online shop where you say, by the way, I sell this and that, and then out of that, maybe you tell guys, and I've done this myself, I only deliver on Saturdays. You have an online shop, and then it's active, you're getting orders, but you tell guys, no, we deliver on this day within Nairobi. If out of Nairobi, we send via parcels and all that. That way, you are able now to come one place at a time. One is passive, the other one is active. Active means it's involving you directly. Now manage your 9 to 5. When do I have an opening to concentrate with that? And then bit by bit you start now diversify, because again we want to protect our main income or our main business, because we can say 7 stream, we are assuming someone is employed. There's someone who has a business. How do I diversify into another business? I think we start with passive, and then we go into something that is involving you, and as we said, we now come to a place of delegation. So that again, there is a seamless way of all these things are running by themselves.
Wow.
Let's talk about the active and passive just a bit more. So what does passive look like? Give us, of course, without mentioning companies, you can give us examples of some of those things or places we can put our money where it gets to grow. And for me, without mentioning companies, I come to a place of, and I thank God, because our market is becoming more active. We come to places of money markets, we come to high yield funds, we come to places of even medium term kind of places where there are companies who offer like maybe 0 to 5 years, places where you can put your money in and your money gets in money. And we have even the things like treasury bills, where you can put in your money in 90 days, in 180 days, and in 368 days, where you look at how much can I get with this money that I have. Instead of it sleeping somewhere, can I put into a place where I can make my own money? And I think that's a better way of passive, and just letting your money work even if you're not there. And I think those are most of the best ways. And I think nowadays we are in a place where if you want to do your due diligence to get information about who is doing what, you are able to get all this information, because we also come to a place of the get rich quick schemes, where you get people like there's something happening somewhere, putting like 10K, you will get 20K within this period. James, my next question was going to be, there are people who might be feeling like, this money you're telling me to put in and then it brings, what do you mean? What exactly do you mean? So maybe you can tell us a bit more about how do they invest, or where does the money go? So for example, in a money market fund, what do they do with our money so that it grows, so that it doesn't feel like it's a get-rich-quick scheme?
And I think and that's a very good question. I think money market is more dependent on the treasury bills, because they get your money in lump sum, they put them in treasury bills, and then out of that, they're able to give you a percentage slightly lower than that. And I think right now, actually, treasury bills are litmus papers to what is happening in the money market. Right now, we are below 10, so we know money markets may go below 10 in the next few months or days and all that. It's something that you can speculate by default. And again, it's rates per annum, it's not per month, because sometimes people are told by the you will make, I think it has come from 16-18% for the past few months to around right now 11 to 12, 13%. So there are guys who invest in offshore. There are companies who have been there for a long time. And whenever, before I invest in any place, I look at, I don't chase percentages. I chase stability. I chase how long have these guys been in the market. That way, I'm able to know that in this place, I can never lose my money. And I think that would be a better consideration, other than someone coming to a congregation somewhere. This is what is happening. Give us your money. You will get this. For us, I think, and it's so easy to get tempted, but I usually say you can never corner a genuine person. You will all greed. There is a place for greed where I want to make quick money, but rather they are tools that have been tested with time and all that. All
right. There is somebody could be asking maybe, do I need a lot of money to start maybe another income source?
Great. And I think you sometimes you need just your skill. Sometimes you don't even need capital. in form of money to actually start a business. I remember one time, my wife and I, she's an amazing lady we have done many things together. And I think there's a time there was a Valentine happening, and we had a friend who brands stuff. So we had a page where we told guys we brand Valentine gifts. And within 2 days, we had invested with people, send us your money and what you want to be branded. We used the people's money actually to deliver. We just came in the middle. That way, I remember that month, we paid the rent for our house within 2 days out of no capital. Just sit, be online, get information, send to this guy. He prints, and some of the guys we used to let them go pick your stuff wherever it is. So we are in an economy where you can start a side hustle with no shilling in your pocket. And I think that's a good place where maybe the young people even, I remember their Upwork, you know, like their apps that helps you to have gigs and all that. These are places where you just need your skill. You just need to have an internet in your house or a Wi-Fi or whatever it is. So you can start a side hustle with as little as 0 shillings and you make your money. Yes.
Wow.
So what do we look out for when starting these other ventures? What should we be looking for? Like, how do we land on the right, if there's anything like right business, how do we land on it?
So for me, I think instead of looking out first, I look in first. What are my passions? What are beyond my profession? What are my skills? What are my giftings? Because there are people who are gifted in, someone can speak so well, they can entertain people. There are people, if you're in their circles, everyone will be laughing the whole time. Maybe they can look into, like, can I MC your function? You know, like, it's as simple as looking inside and also looking outside again, where you look at where are the opportunities outside and how can I fill that gap? There are people who are into even ebooks, you know, like digital products. There are people who are into content creation. This Sunday I was in a mall somewhere with my son and my wife. We were waiting for our daughter to come from a function, and we were like, guys, creating some content somewhere. And I was like, these guys, we could be maybe creating content to put it out there. So there is a place where there's always a place to start in everything. It just requires for us actually to open our eyes wide and actually to realize, by the way, what can I do with whatever we have available already? Yes.
All right.
Look within. I like that.
Let's look at maybe some of the common mistakes people make while trying to come up with multiple income streams.
Great. And I think I will mention this again. Sometimes it's to some of the mistakes people make is to diversify so quickly. And I said where instead of taking in time and doing your due diligence, what am I going to do out there? What are the pitfalls? What are the requirements? And I think we are also in a place where taxation is really key. So that again, what do I need to actually be legally out there? So these are some of the few things that we need to require. And also, like, how does my 9 to 5 work with me, so that again I'm not again losing on this side trying to fill in something else on this other side. I think it takes in a place of taking in your stock, you know, like yourself, and sitting down and looking at the pros and the cons and all these things that require you to actually be out there and solve a problem. So for me, it's just looking into resources, looking into the information you have in the field that you want to go in, looking into the requirement, that is the legal dimension of what you want to diversify into, and out of that I believe you would be able, like, to be very comfortable to venture out there.
So in a sense you're saying, James, that we need to count the cost.
Yes, we need to count
just because we need to do extra things and they won't need money, it doesn't mean that we should just dive in.
No. Yeah, we need to count the cost, and I think it's so biblical. Otherwise, you will start something, and then later people will actually laugh at you. Didn't you, like, sit down and consider, is this fit for you? Is it something that you can be able to monetize and all that? Yes. Otherwise, if you go with it and it's not going anywhere, maybe you are running a hobby and not a business. Yes.
Okay.
You have mentioned 8 to 5 quite a bit, and you even gave us a story last time.
Yes.
So how can one balance their formal employment and the extra income streams?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And sometimes we think going into business from your 9 to 5, things will be easy. And I think it's good to know that the more we diversify, if you're not careful enough, sometimes you have so many balls in the air, then most likely one of them will fall. And unfortunately, being where maybe interacting with guys in the business and all that, the easiest place to drop is usually the family, not even the businesses. We drop whatever doesn't give you like automatic pressure to actually balance. So for me, I think it's just to manage our time. And I think there's someone who said that you require 90 minutes to do a task. Anything else goes into distractions and all that. It's just focusing in one area and also realizing what time do I need to maximize into my side hustle to balance my 9 to 5. Because at the end of the day, we want to be good stewards into what we have been given every day. How do we feel into whatever is coming along the way? I remember there's a meme a video that was going on where someone had 10 tabs on their computer. They are managing a business. They have their own business, and then whenever the boss come in, you just
switch the tab.
Yeah, switch the tab, and then you come back to the main tab for where the employer is concerned and all that. So we actually need to know, how do I come in where I'm not stealing into their times and all that. And I think that last time I said how I dropped a hustle that I was feeling, I'm stealing into their time rather than concentrating with whatever I've been given. I think it's just coming to that place of integrity, and then along the way knowing that where to come in and where to go out in both. Wow. Yeah.
And you have mentioned your wife quite a bit in our conversation, James. How can couples work together to create wealth?
Yeah, great. And I think the first thing is for the young couples to ask themselves, what is the worst thing that can happen if one of us loses a job? And then once you realize actually there can be a problem, now we come into looking at how much does each one of us make? Do we start the way we say? Do we start with an investment product? Do we start into a place where it's not involving us directly? Who has a bit of time? For me, I usually see, depending again the young couple, whether they have children or not, if there are kids involved, we want to know that there is someone that is our model of parenting, my wife and I. We want to make sure at any one time we have someone at home at a certain hour of the day. So that way we have agreed, if we are I'm doing a hustle or meetings, what time works for you, and we share our schedules. That way we are able to do our side hustles, and again we need to balance at home. So we also look into legacy. We want to leave a legacy. And I think we were talking the other day and realizing if we scale this business and this, our daughter may be able to run with this, and our son may be able to run with this. And out of that, we are able to scale them with the future in mind. And I think whenever we talk as a couple, we look into maybe 20 years from now, we look 25 years from now, we look at 30 years from now. And that way we are able actually to synchronize whatever we have and actually have a goal and call our money a name. We want this to go into this future. We want this to go to this future. And out of that, we also support each other. I can do a delivery if I'm running a certain road, or I'm going in this direction or another direction. We are able to synchronize and make sure whatever we do is ending into this one major goal that we have as a couple. And for me also, when we are diversifying, we also sit down, pray about whatever we want to do, project into how do we scale into that, how can I come in and help you into that. And I think this is the synergy, this is the best way where synergy comes in, and where you are synchronizing and working as one unit, even if you are both of you in different fields and all that.
All right.
Yeah.
You're talking about children, and I'm just thinking about the Gen Zs, because as of now, it is a conversation going on. I don't know, how can now these young people, earn beyond just their salary?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And I think we have experienced the Gen Zs in an amazing way, where we have realized everything that can be mobilized on the phones wherever guys are. And at the end of the day, they are able to do stuff and all that. And for me, I still come back to the place of the Gen Zs have the access to the internet. They have access to skills that were not there before. And I've experienced some of them I have a friend of mine who have 2 jobs that are online and they are doing so well. And for me, I advise the Gen Zs to take advantage of the online space.
Okay.
There's so much that can be done. We can upskill our whatever you have. You can do coding. You can do this. I talked about a platform I know, Upwork and it's Fiverr or Fiverr.
Yes.
I have all these accounts and I have done gigs previously. Seated with an internet, there is a launch of a product somewhere. Are you aware of the platforms that give people these places where they can do gigs that are very short and they give you something? And for me to advise a Gen Z is to make sure in the next maybe 1 month earn 500 shillings from somewhere online.
Yes.
And that way you realize there is money out there. It's only that maybe we have not thought of it.
Okay.
And as I am saying, we are in a place where you can scroll, but rather can you scroll and make sure you are adding yourself skill, and also you are looking into how can I monetize this online space, even if I'm not like actively involved in whatever I'm doing.
All right. So it's not all about just scrolling screens.
No.
Juggling tabs and,
No, there is a lot that can be done. And I think there is also a government, I can't remember the site because I ever registered and got trained, and I got free courses. I think I did Coursera programming with Python and all these. And I was just trying, and along the way I think there was a launch of a car in Kenya. Can you guys promote this online?
Yes.
And I was sent some money.
Wow.
So it's just realizing there is so much that Gen Zs can do right now to actually make sure maybe someone is jobless, or if you have a job, you want to diversify.
Yes.
All
right.
Great. Wow, great conversation. Right here, if you have a question or comments, feel free to share that with us. Our number is 20933. You can reach us on 0717 400 555 on WhatsApp, at Hope FM Live across our social media platforms. It's time for business.
Wonderful. I just have 12 minutes to 9, being the 20th of February there, 2025 is a Thursday. And you know, Thursdays are all about the corporate hub, where we have conversations to do with money, career, all that in the corporate world. And we are having a James Wanyugi in studio, who's a financial advisor, helping us unpack the conversation on 7 income streams. All right, if you got any question, feel free to share with us on 0717 400 555. And I can see a question on our social media platforms. Thank you for this topic. I would like to ask, what type of online jobs are beneficial, or just any?
Yeah, that's amazing. And online jobs that are beneficial, and I think beneficial, I hope they mean like in terms of how much I earn.
Yes.
And I think one thing that I love saying is that start small. And as I said, beneficial means I'm trying to break that down into is it aligning to your hobbies or your giftings? Is it beneficial in terms of how much you earn? And as I said, there are so many areas that we can look into that. There are people who are very good in writing, and I think I know a platform called Medium, where I know a friend of mine who is into medicine, and they write medicine related. It's a very thin, he's in a very good field where there's not a lot of people writing into that. I know people who have skilled into writing in a certain way of thinking.
Yes.
And that way they are able actually to realize that's a way of them earning. We have a place where people have come into being PAs for someone. They do stuff for them online. It just depends on what are your skills, and that way can you get that online somewhere. I talked about Upwork, and I remember there is a time we were talking about writing essays into things to do with marketing and how to do ABCD, and you get paid out of that. And some of them are little money, but over time you get someone who gives you like, by the can you be doing 4 hours per day for me?
Yes.
It's just starting small and then eventually realizing, can I diversify into that? There are people who are into blogging. There are people who are into content creation.
Yes.
There are people who are into advertisements and all this. For me, it's just looking into what are your skills, and out of that, can I look into where can I get that? And I think Upwork is so diverse into so many fields. You just need to identify where can I fit in, and out of that, you're able now to scale in and just hit the road running.
All right. Wow. And I think Rollins Malisi, that was your question. You've been answered, and I want to believe it's not baiting, and of course not those that will compromise your dignity, compromise your values and all that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Sharon and Frank. I have embraced this talk on 7 streams of income. I have already started 2 new ventures. Wow.
Awesome.
That was
That's
fast.
a good one.
That was so fast. So thank God. I would testify here, having been away from a job since 2018. I truly understand what he is saying. And thank you, James.
Wow.
Thank you.
We thank God for that.
This is Kahaki. Thank you so much for that. Loving the talk on investments. Very apt conversations. Curious if the speaker can touch on the role of AI and investments.
Yeah, great. I think we're in a place where if you want any information right now, where do I start, like on passive income? Just when you go to AI, like just type something and you will get information, and out of that you can like have a laser focus into whatever you want to venture into. And I think we are also in a place where you don't need to overthink about anything right now. You are able to get things on your fingertips, and then you are able like to know what makes sense for you and what doesn't make sense for you. And as we say it, what also clicks into it, because there are things that are internet is a jungle out there. You can get good stuff, you can get crazy stuff out there. For me, it's just having that sieve to know what do I use and what can scale for me. And also for people who are in business, I know we are also into record keeping and tracking your progress. I think that someone has said about they are into 2 streams. We have AI of stuff where you can be able actually to have tools that will help you to scale your business. I also come to a place of whenever I'm buying anything, I think this Monday, last weekend we wanted to buy a blender to our home. And what we do, instead of going to the next supermarket, first of all we go online. So also knowing that online is a space where you can have a shop, a physical shop, you can have an online shop. And I think blending technology and what the traditional way of doing business, it's a place where you are at an edge better than someone who doesn't have that. Whenever we are, and I think this has become so natural, we by default go online anytime. Are we taking advantage of that as businesses? And I usually say, if you're not visible in the online space, maybe you're not existing, because there's a whole crowd out there that only shops from that space. Wow. So for me, it's just to take advantage of the AI of things and at least synchronize to what you are doing every day. But we also have people who actually rely online only. That's the only place where they sell their stuff. Yes. And I think that is where now the AI of stuff is coming in so well. Right. And also learning how do I maximize the search engine optimization. If people are searching a certain product, do I come in the first page of the Google page or whichever search engine you are using? I think these are the places where we are able to have all this information at our fingertips.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Well put. Charles asks, I would like to ask on how someone who has a business that is a registered company can take advantage of taxation. I'm not sure what they mean.
Yeah, so I know what they mean, because we are in a place where we want to pay taxes, because that is what we are required to do. Even biblically, we are in a nation that needs to run. But again, there are people, especially companies. I know what he means is that how do I legally pay less tax and still be in business? And I think this is where we advise everyone who has a registered company to have a Keyman assurance. Yes. A Keyman assurance helps you. It's whenever you are doing your returns, it comes into allowable expense, where maybe I was to pay a tax of 100,000 this month. I have a Keyman assurance where the key person, I'm the director. I have 20K every month that ensures me that if anything happens, someone can take over my business, my family, without the shock of financial strain. They can actually hire someone. That means I could have paid 100,000 on taxes. I have a Keyman assurance for 20K that goes to ensuring the director of the two guys who maybe it's in partnership, and out of a certain period, maturity period, that money comes back to the company. But in the beginning, it should have gone to the taxman. That way, you pay less tax by the company insuring you, and then money comes back to the company again. If in case of an event of death, that is when now the company is paid that amount of money that was in the insurance to help them actually to hire someone to replace this person, so that the business runs along the way. I think that's the best way to make sure that you are paying less tax, but again, it's legally, it's not illegal. It's something that has been approved, and it's a worldwide. We know people. I think I gave an example of some point where Warren Buffett was saying that his PA was paying more tax than himself, being a millionaire. So they know how to avoid tax rather than evade, because evade is illegal, avoid is legal. So they know what to do to avoid. Yes. And I think whenever I sit with business people, this is the first conversation: is it registered as a company? When instead of buying a car directly with your money, you let the company buy for you. So that you deduct from the taxation because it's in the allowable expense. This way, you are owning stuff within the company, but again, they are helping you actually in the taxation at the end of the day. And there's so much we can talk where business people can take advantage of this for taxation. And I think that is what he is asking actually. Yes. So Keyman assurance is very important. And maybe to tie that into, I also advise business people to also save for their retirement or their pension, because businesses people are like, at the end of the day, this is how much I get at the end of the month. I may be scale to another business, start another hustle, but they forget they are also growing old. Are you having something for your pension? Are you putting something to your future? Because at some point you will not have strength to rauka to that business. Are you also putting in something that has your name going to your future? So that at some point, if you want to delegate that business to your generations, you can actually retire and let them run the business, having your own retirement scheme or plan.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, James. Following, this is Pauline. She's telling us the company you were talking about is called Ajira. They train you for online work. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Actually, it's Ajira. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Time fails us, James. but we could go on and on and on.
Yes.
God allowing us, we will have another opportunity.
For sure.
But what are your closing remarks as we wind this up?
Yeah, my closing remark is that we are all, God has given us maybe, I think it was one of the writers that said we have like more than 10, 20 skills within ourselves if we would look into how God has wired us. Have you started to discover what else you can do apart from your 5 to 9? And out of that, try to make maybe 500, 1,000 shillings in a month out of your ordinary work. Out of that, you will discover, by the way, this thing is doable. And also come from that place of fear. Maybe you have the fear of going out there. I would advise each one of us to actually look into where can I start, and start today, not tomorrow. Start even researching, start having that business plan, start having that step of faith where I'm start to call things that are not as if they are. There's that business that you have in mind. Can you start actually having a business plan for it? That way, in the next 1 year, 2 years, but don't drift. There are people who arrive to a place called one day. Don't arrive to that place called one day. Start as soon as you are able to do that. And again, business people, remember you are also aging. Your body is moving into a place of you don't no longer have enough strength and all that. Start putting something into your future. And for the company owners, know what are the advantages of running your business that you don't know. There's so much to think about, but that is my parting shot.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, James Wanyugi is a financial advisor, helping us on the conversation of 7, 8 streams of income, as is in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1 to 6. And I hope you have learned something. I'm glad to see, Frank, we already have fruits coming in.
Yeah.
Someone has 2 ventures already. We are looking forward to many more testimonies.
Many more conversions.
Actually, I'm so happy for that.
So am I.
Yes.
James has said, start today,
Yes.
not tomorrow.
Yes.
Do
Not tomorrow.
something about it today.
Yes.
Let's wrap it up at that. God bless you so much for your time. We'll see you tomorrow. My name is Sharon Aitore Wangeni.
Favored Frank is my name. Bye-bye.
Hope FM. It's now 9 a.m.